Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. Thank you for joining today's web learning lab. Just before we're just going to give it a couple more moments for a few more people to join, and then we'll kick off with today's session. Okay, I think that's everyone joined in now, so we'll get started. So hello and welcome to today's learning lab. Today we're going to be taking you through Sage Intacct Release 3, the highlights of the latest release, Release 3 of 2024. So thank you for joining. We really do hope you enjoyed today's session. Just before we get started, let me do the usual introduction. So I'm Fiona. For those, I think I've met most of you, but for those who don't know me, I work in the customer success team here at Acuity, and taking us through today's session is going to be Enrico. A bit of housekeeping. You will find that your microphones are muted throughout today's session. There is a question box on the right-hand panel of the GoToWebinar screen that you can pop in any questions as we go along into there. I will read those out at the end, or there will also be the opportunity at the end of today's session to take yourself off mute and you can ask any questions at that point too. The session is also being recorded, so if you're unable to stay for the whole session, or if you've got other colleagues who would have liked to have joined today but are unable to, you will receive a copy of this session via email later today. So please do feel free to share that with any colleagues or to revisit later on. Okay, I think that's everything from me. If there's anything through the session, like I say, we'll have questions at the end, but if there's anything that you need to ask individually at the end of the session, then you can reach out to myself and I'll pop my email address on at the end. Okay, right, over to you, Enrico.
Thank you, Fiona, and hi, welcome everybody to today's Learning Lab session. My name is Enrico Diedrichs, and I will be taking you guys to Sage Intacct 2024 Release 3. All right, so these updates have already been rolled out, as some of you might have seen. So I'm going to go straight into it and look at what we're going to be discussing today. All right, so we're going to look at unapplying credits quicker. We're going to look at reviewing the credit applied to a payment, void payments more easily. We're going to look at how to track order entry, purchasing transactions history. We also got a new tool, which is the new Sage Intacct tool. We're going to have a look at that briefly, and also important tax changes when reporting on input and output taxes. We're going to look at the set of blanket sales orders as recurring transactions. And last but not least, we're going to look at AP automation. All right, so just before we begin, and just to note, there are new functions in this release which requires actions to update user roles permissions. So please consult with your administrator or line manager to give you the necessary permissions. All right, so let's jump straight into it. All right, so as part of the release 3, we have some updated functionality in accounts payable. We are now able to unapply credits and void payments more easily. So you can now unapply credits of all types, including the following: advances, debit memo adjustments, negative AP purchases invoices, negative line items applied from one AP purchase invoice to another AP purchase invoice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief demonstration. So I can just get my system up. All right. So if we go to accounts payable and we go to all payments, posted payments, all right, we will be presented with the posted payment screen, and we will be able, if you see over here, credit entries which were previously absent from posted payments now appears as a separate line item with an amount of 0. All right. You will see the unapply function over here. So if we click on it, all right, we will be presented with a pop-up screen, and it will have the date, the supplier, the amount, which is 0. Also, from the void the payment on date, here you'll be able to enter the date when you want to remove the credit. All right. Optionally, we've got a memo section here where you can describe the reason for unapplying the credit. All right. As you see at the bottom, there's also, and where applicable as well, Sage Intacct also provides the option to reverse the AP purchases invoice. And so let's talk a little about that. So for you'll be able to reverse the credit provided it has not been applied to any other AP purchases invoices. Where you reverse the credit depends on the type of credit. So with debit memo adjustments, reverse the credit from the AP adjustment list. For negative AP purchases invoices, you reverse or delete the AP purchase invoice from the AP purchases invoices list. All right. And for advances, you'd void the prepayment advance from the AP advances list. All right. So once you happy with the information you entered, you will then go ahead and click submit, and that will then unapply the credit. All right. We're going to stay on the posted payment screen, and we're going to look at how we be able to void payments directly from the posted payment screen. All right. So previously, the method used to void payments depended on the payment method. That might have meant that avoiding a check payment from the bank or credit card register report. Now you can conveniently void payments using the void link located on the posted payments page. So with cash management permissions is not required for voiding a payment, right? So this is where you'll void the payment. So exactly the same as unapplying the credit, um, you'll be able to you'll get a pop-up screen and you'll be able to void it in the same fashion or manner. All right. So you put in the payment, void the payment date, and you can put the memo description there in as well. All right. All right. Just one moment for me. Let's go back to my presentation. All right. Okay. So we've spoken about voiding payments and how to unapply credits. So we're going to move over to reviewing the credits applied to a payment. All right. So from here, when we stay on staying on the posted payment screen, we'll be able. There's a new functionality that's been added, and if we go back, if we click on View, all right, we'll see that another tab or a tab has been added. It's called the credit supply tab, and once we click on there, you'll be able to see more information about the credit applied. All right. You'll also be able to drill down to further information regarding that particular credit. Okay. All right. All right. You'll also be able to track order entry, purchasing transactions history. All right. So the purchasing and ordering entry workflows provide great flexibility with multiple potential transaction entry and exit points. Now you can easily track which transaction started a workflow, A more traceable workflow ensures greater inventory reconciliation accuracy. All right. So if you look over here at the bottom of the screen, and I hope you guys can see clearly, um, tracing the original documents in your sales order workflow allows you to identify the initial transaction in the workflow, which is the originating document. All right. You can also refer back to preceding documents in the workflow, which will be the source document ID. All right. So you'll be able to generate more detailed sales transaction reports and more easily identify and address reconciliation issues. Let's look at a demonstration. All right. Let's close it over here. So if we go to order entry, and we go to all, and we go to transactions, and we go to, let's go to invoices, let's go to sales invoices. Okay, so no information over here. We go to one of the entities. All right, okay. So if we go and view one of the sales invoices, and we go down to the entries table, if we click on show details, all right, this is where the new functionality has been added. And if this original transaction in the workflow, if the originating document ID field is blank, uh, that just would mean that there's nothing else that has been added, or this is the beginning process. So it is the originating document. All right. If this is the second transaction in the workflow, the originating document ID displays the initiation transaction ID. The same ID displays in the source document ID field as well. All right. If this document in the workflow if this is a document in the workflow with more than two conversions, the originating document ID displays the initiation transaction. The source document ID displays the last conversion ID document. Okay, so we're going to move on, and we're going to have a look at the new usage insight tools. Um, So the new Usage Insight Tool report allows full visibility across your company with pre-built metric dashboards to facilitate the operational decision making about your accounting processes. It's basically like a dashboard. All right. So just another demonstration on that as well. So if we go to company and we go to admin, usage metrics, usage insights. And here we'll be presented with the usage insight report. All right, and there's a few key areas. We've got the overview, the customers, the vendors, and the API usage. Under the overview tab, we'll be able to track active customers and vendor growth or supplier growth. We'll also be able to monitor Intacct subscription modules, activations, and user activities such as the logins over here. All right, so you will also be able to view the number of locations associated with these entities. All right. If we go to the customers, you'll be able to analyze customer growth trends. We'll be able to visualize the customer locations on a map for better geographical understanding. All right. So move on to the vendors. Okay, so under the vendors or supplier tab, you'll be able to analyze supplier growth, visualize supplier locations on a map, as well as track accounts payable AP purchase invoices over time. All right. The API usage includes API transactions originating from web services and IX calls for the current month and previous months, which there's no data on here, however. But these transactions can be made by your company's custom integrations. All right, so third-party software or partner integrations, or by Sage Intacct applications. All right. Next, we have important tax changes when reporting on input and output taxes. So from here, previously, when you use Sage Intacct to prepare your tax submission, Sage regulatory reporting ignored the output values and used the input values to report both input and output taxes. Due to recent changes to support reverse charge and partial exemption, Sage regulatory reporting now accepts and calculates for both input and output tax values. This means that when you post a reverse charge, instead of only using input tax details, you must now use input and output tax details so that the taxes are reported to the correct boxes. You can do this by using the multiple taxes online checkbox, entering the input and output tax details and amounts on separate lines. This updated workflow affects all reverse charge transactions. So refresh your standard setups, tax setups with the available updates on your tax solutions page. Next up, we have the setup blanket sales orders as recurring transactions. The sales order workflow now allows you to easily keep balance in the recurring scheduled sales order transactions. If your order entry application is set up to allow conversion by price, you can see the default conversion type in your recurring transaction templates. This added flexibility enables you to monitor the remaining contracted quantity or price in recurring order entry transactions. And then we also have the AP invoice automation, which is now available. AP automation is an add-on feature to accounts payable, and it streamlines your data entry process to save you time and money. Intake automatically creates draft AP purchase invoices from AP purchase invoice documents that you either email or upload to Sage Intacct, and AP purchase invoice details are automatically then populated for you using data from the original document and that of the supplier information record. Just some things you need to be aware of. It will save you time when you create journal entries from bank transactions during reconciliation. The exchange rate date defaults to the bank transaction date for improved accuracy. Streamline screens to apply permissions and roles when you add a new user. This is now consolidated into a single page. Right? There's also 3 new reports to the fixed assets management reports package, which is the fixed assets and net book value, and the fixed assets by employee, as well as the fixed assets by location. Barcode fonts is now available for printed document templates as well. 2 Google barcode fonts are now available for use in the printed documents templates. Right. So yeah, you will see we'll be able to receive and update, upload emails and upload into documents, invoices through to our AI-powered digitization, and then it will go to this on the system as a draft invoice where the end user or the finance person will then review and see, check for correctness, and then will then submit the invoice. All right. We will prepare a separate session on this, and we'll post dates on our social media pages. So please keep a lookout for that. Um, just lastly, just also to mention, there's something else worth mentioning. if I can just go back to, there's been a slight change in terms of the roles tab when creating or editing a user. So if we go to company, admin users, user roles, users, and then let's use the top level, company, admin, user roles and groups. We go to users. All right. We go in view Ava. So previously there was a roles tab just next to you where you see user information. That has now been removed by Sage, and you'll find it at the bottom where it says in Sage Intacct Financial Permissions. So you'll find it in this block over here. So you'll be able to change the roles from here going forward. All right. So that is it from me, Fiona. Thank you guys for listening to today's presentation. I will hand you guys over to Fiona.
Super. Thanks, Enrico. Thank you for putting that on for us. Exciting release there, with especially around the AP automation stuff. We are going to put on as Enrico said, we are going to put an additional session in the Learning Lab schedule. We're hoping to bring that in September, where we will do a whole session covering AP automation. And there also, just to mention, there is also a fee associated with AP automation. So if you are interested, please do reach out to me and I can get a copy of those fees over to you. We'll open up now for any questions. Like I said, you can pop them in the question box and I will read those out. Or if you are able to, you can take yourself off mute and ask away any questions. So we'll just give that a couple of minutes for any questions to come through and then we'll wrap up. Okay, I can't see any questions come through at the moment, and hopefully you are able to take yourself off mute. I know we've had technical issues with that before. Enrico, if you just pop to the next slide, if you did have any questions and you're just having some problems with the GoToMeeting there, entering those, then my email is on screen now. So please do feel free to reach out to me with any of those questions. I'll get back to you. Our next Learning Lab is going to be on the 5th of September, and we're going to take a look at Sage Intacct Planning. So please do keep a lookout for the link to register for that session. That should be coming out to you via email in the next couple of weeks. In the next week. Also keep a look on our social media for the links to that. If you do have any feedback from today's session, or if you have any ideas for future sessions that you'd like to see, then please also drop me an email. I really appreciate any feedback you can give. That's everything from us. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and I hope you have a pleasant rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Learning Lab. Thanks everybody. Bye.